So we look at the world now and we see so much discontent, so much in many ways, like at an individual level. You see it the way that the media, for example, are trying to create discontent with all of the different generations, even when they talk about that. But then you see it out in the world, in the wider world, where you have countries at war with each other or threatening each other, being in fear of, one country is in fear of another country doing this. You see people, leaders, taking these we're going to use the word vulgar, courses of action with their building of particular weapons and fueling other countries fighting with their weapons. And that's not just countries, that's corporations and what have you. And, we ask ourselves, where has this dissatisfaction with everything come from? Why are so many in a state of dissatisfaction? What is wrong with being satisfied? So, and many people look at satisfied as not being prosperous or thriving. But when people are satisfied, they don't look for trouble. They don't look for discontent. They don't look for anger. And some people will say that's how people stop growing. When they're satisfied, they stop growing. But that's not how we see it. What concerns us at the moment is the level of, as we said, the discontent and the self-destructive attitude of so many. So many. Many people blame COVID for higher suicide rates or depression, anxiety. For many people, their lives have not recovered financially and so on. But COVID is probably just a symptom of a greater dissatisfaction, a greater discontent that is either inherent in the group, and therefore the whole group has it, or is being manufactured, just as many people thought that COVID was being manufactured. This discontent and this dissatisfaction is being manufactured by some people, someone, some group, some nation, to create an environment where people will get to the point where they will accept anything. That is not satisfaction. That is accepting anything so that the dissatisfaction goes away. Being satisfied is a state of being where the person knows themselves well enough, knows their needs and their desires, their likes, their dislikes, their physical being, their emotional being, their mental being, and their spiritual being or energetic being enough to know when it's enough. And when that time occurs, when that person really understands that and they can see that they are enough, that there is enough, satisfaction can become a part of their life. They can be satisfied. Because the human being is somebody, is a creature, if you like, or the nature of the human being is always to strive. There is a natural curiosity within human beings. Sometimes that curiosity is directed by what others want, so advertising, the media, nations, and what have you. But human beings are generally naturally curious. So to say that being satisfied means that we will become complacent and go no further is not actually accurate, because the version of satisfaction that we have just given really is talking about the sovereignty of the human being coming to themselves and understanding themselves well enough and understanding their value and their place in the world. And we don't mean that they're below or above somebody, just that they have a place in the world. They are part of the natural world and they have a valued place in that ecosystem of the world. And understanding that and really becoming that person, that's sovereignty. And in that space, there is this understanding of being satisfied with the self. Yes, I can go and do this and I can do that. If that works, good. If it doesn't work, good. Because these are things I'm trying out. But because of the person that I am and the knowledge I have about myself, I know that I am valued. I know I am valuable. And I know all of these things about me, and I feel comfortable in that space. And therefore, my levels of dissatisfaction diminish and my levels of satisfaction increase. Now, to say that, people often say there's dis-ease, and this is what there is a dis-ease within the body, and this is why we get ill. It's exactly the same thing with dissatisfaction and satisfaction. So the state of dissatisfaction is actually a state where you are satisfied, but something is pulling you to try something else, to be something else, to experience something else. If you can identify what that thing is, then you can move into that dissatisfaction to understand it, to learn, and to become satisfied that you now have the knowledge, you now have that experience, It's bringing things into you. But people do not understand themselves. Nations do not understand themselves. Groups of people, cultures really do not understand what drives them, what is motivating them, who are they as individuals and as a group. So when things don't go right, when things start to get a little bit uncomfortable, instead of people then, that group being able to look at the dissatisfaction from this point of view of all of the things that we know about ourselves, why are we currently dissatisfied, and working on that, they allow the dissatisfaction to take them over. And then it becomes so big and so confused, they can't see it. They can't see what it is. So they go into the attack. They go into looking in their own group and finding those that don't belong anymore in that group. And they turn their dissatisfaction onto them, because it must be them. It must be that group or that group over there in that other country that's causing our dissatisfaction. Many times they've created the environment that caused the dissatisfaction. They were satisfied with that. So what caused the dissatisfaction with that satisfied state? And if they go back, they'll find, possibly, that satisfied state was manufactured. It didn't come from a place that's a part of who they are. It perhaps was placed upon them, and they were told, this is who we are. So if you look at countries that have got a lot of immigration, right? And they took those on because that's the people that we are. We are open, we are loving, and then now they're unhappy. And there's a lot of things, I don't want that anymore, because all of that has caused us dissatisfaction. They were satisfied with themselves, wallowing in their satisfaction of being open and caring and loving. They were open, satisfied. then it turns out that it's caused them dissatisfaction. What has caused them dissatisfaction? Is it the immigrants? Or is it what motivated them in the beginning? Was that placed upon them and they didn't have a choice? So they were told these things. They went along with those things. But now, actually, that's not what we want at all. That's not who we are. Or was it something that they have been living a lie? And so that's self-satisfaction, not satisfaction, but self-satisfaction. It was a lie. And they have been living that lie. And then when the fruits of that actually come out, they realize that that was a lie. But who are they looking at? Themselves? They're looking at the others. They are the ones causing us the dissatisfaction. So instead of looking at themselves, they look at the others. And it's the same thing with the individual. When you are dissatisfied, yes, okay, look out, but look in. Look in. And the more you know about yourself, the more you understand the things that motivate you, the things that make you tick, as they say, then the knowledge that you have, the breadth or the shallowness of the knowledge. Look at those things, as well as looking out there, because the dissatisfaction comes from within. It doesn't come from without. That can trigger, outside can trigger your dissatisfaction. But if you really look at it, really, really spend time with it, then you will find it's within yourself. And only you can to bring yourself to a state of satisfaction. Absolutely no government, no culture, no family member, no lover, no government, no workplace can bring you satisfaction. Only you can bring yourself to a state of satisfaction. The other thing that we wanted to talk about was this idea of preciousness. And preciousness for all things, or the preciousness of all things. Many people who become dissatisfied, or nations that become dissatisfied, are self-absorbed. They're self-absorbed. They don't, and they only see the slights on them. They don't see the slights that they do for others, only on them. So they become dissatisfied. And same for the individual. But if we put satisfaction and dissatisfaction over to the side, and we looked at all of these things, everything, individuals, the groups, the natural world, the planet, the space, everything, from this idea that all of this is precious. And if we actually value this as precious, like we do diamonds and emeralds and natural gas and things like that, if we actually put the value on everything as precious, not a monetary value, but that's how many humans think. If it's not worth money, it's not worth anything. Then you start to look at, you then see a picture of all of these things, everything around us as precious. So if we're looking at it like that, how can we blow up a forest? How can we deliberately blow up a hospital with people inside? How can we? No one, no thing is more precious than another thing. We have never cried, but we weep. We weep for humanity. We weep for the world. We weep for this dissatisfaction, that people do not see the preciousness of everything, every blade of grass, every grain of sand, every single cell being. They do not see the preciousness. And we weep for that. So in 2025, we would ask everybody that listens to us and everybody that they know to please start looking at the preciousness of yourself. Look at the preciousness of this world, the preciousness of your actions and the consequences. And start to stand up and say, you know what? Everything is precious. Everything. And if we do not start taking care of it, of ourselves, of the people that are around us, of the natural world, of our thoughts, of our cultures, of our beings, of our actions, if we do not start looking at all of that as precious, dissatisfaction will reign. And we seeing now what dissatisfaction brings. So our fervent wish for this year is that people take this idea of precious, satisfaction and dissatisfaction. They take it to heart and they really think about what it means for them and how they, as an individual, can start to live that maturely, consciously, and know that their contribution to that contributes to the whole world, and that it is important, that they are important, and their contribution is important.